Welcome to the 34th Annual All-Region Sports Awards. For over 149 years, the Yuma Sun has covered local news and sports in our community. We believe in the power of information, especially local news in Yuma County, and one of our most critical community connections comes from covering our student athletes. Their stories are a bright spot in our day, and we're excited to be a part of their achievements and accomplishments. Whether it's a win or a loss, the drive to overcoming adversity and meeting challenges head-on makes our student athletes simply stellar. We are proud to celebrate our Yuma County athletes. From the staff of the Yuma Sun, congratulations to each of you.
Hi, I'm Bill Regenhart, president of the Yuma Rotary Club, and we're coming to you from our home field, the Yuma Golf and Country Club. Since 1937, the Yuma Rotary Club has been supporting the athletes of Yuma County high schools. And this year, the All-Regional Sports Awards are being sponsored by some outstanding sponsors, and we're proud to be one of those. We just want to take this time after this tough year to say thank you to our athletes and congratulations for all you've done.
Hello, I'm Adele Sandberg, President and CEO of AEA Federal Credit Union. I would like to congratulate all of the nominees and winners in tonight's ceremony. We are proud to partner with the Yuma Sun and Yuma Rotary on this exceptional event recognizing local athletes. Since 1942, AEA Federal Credit Union has been helping families, students, and our community succeed. Today, we congratulate the class of 2021 and wish our graduates the very best every day.
Welcome to the Yuma Sun, Yuma Rotary Club's End of the Year Sports Award ceremony. I'm Jackson Rammer, the sports writer, and alongside me is our photographer, Randy Haft. You've probably seen him at a lot of your athletic events this season, and it was an unusual year regarding athletics, not just in the state of Arizona, but here locally as well. With the attendance differences we saw, the guidelines put in place, what did you kind of think of this year?
Like no other, Jackson. COVID-19 just cast a cloud over the whole shooting match, and we were not an exception down here in Yuma.
And not just with scheduling differences here locally, with some teams playing more games than others. Cancellations, we saw that in football in the fall. Spectators as well, going to Friday Night Lights games where we usually see a packed crowd at all of our sporting events. Most of these crowds limited to 1 or 2 spectators per student athlete. It was quiet on some of these Friday nights, which is unfortunate for those student athletes. And you saw a lot of parents and fans sitting outside the premises, especially at Yuma High and Kofa, where you can kind of do that.
It was just flat out weird, especially when you see the Yuma Kofa game and there's nobody there. I'm old school, and I'm used to having that place packed for those games, even Cibola.
And it carried over into the winter season, just a few spectators per athletic event as well, which we'll get into this a little bit later as we get into our winter all-region teams, but potential cancellation of the athletic season for winter, and finally a reversal by the AIA kind of saved us in the winter. It had been a long few months for us.
It was closer to normal than it was. It wasn't quite normal, but it was okay.
And then the exceptional spring, we saw a lot more normalcy there. Packed crowds at some of these baseball games, especially the season finale between Kofa and Gila Ridge. Probably the largest crowd I saw in 5-6 months, I'd have to say, outside of football. And that was really good to see. And this year, unlike last year where baseball and the spring sports were canceled after a mere week or 2 of playing, we got a full season, and we got several postseason teams we'll get into once we get closer to talking about the all-region teams in that regard.
Sounds good.
And we're going to start off with our fall all-region teams, beginning with football. And the football offense and defense all-region teams are sponsored by Dave S. Rich Roofing. And with football, our offensive player of the year was quarterback Richard Stallworth from Yuma Catholic, just a sophomore. He was exceptional taking over his first year as a signal caller for the Shamrocks. Led the state in touchdowns with 49, led the state in passing yards with nearly 3,800 yards. And not just leading the state, but also up there in the top 5, top 10 nationally in those rankings, and helped lead Yuma Catholic to their 7th state championship game appearance under head coach Rhett Stallworth. And the quarterback all-region player of the year is C.J. Wiggins, the Gila Ridge senior. Running back John Beltran, Cibola senior. Running back Devin Black, Yuma Catholic senior. Wide receiver Austin Rush, Yuma Catholic junior. Wide receiver Mario Martinez, Yuma Catholic Junior. Wide receiver Jaheim Wilson Jones, Gila Ridge Senior. Offensive line Braden Weatherby, Yuma Catholic Senior. Offensive line Jackson Dusick, Cibola Senior. Offensive line Michael Domain, Gila Ridge Junior. Offensive line Michael Argomanes, Yuma High Junior. Offensive line Adrian Perez, Yuma Catholic Senior. And kicker Michael Galez, Gila Ridge Sophomore.
That leads us into the football all-defensive team, led by defensive back Jaheim Wilson Jones, a Gila Ridge senior. This dude was a flat-out human highlight reel in 2020. In the game versus Cibola, he had 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. For the season, he had 4 picks in 5 games. The rest of the team is made up by John Davis, defensive line, Gila Ridge Junior. Defensive lineman Jacob Bernal, Yuma Catholic Senior. Defensive lineman Nicasio Noblet, Cibola Senior. Linebacker Jared Marquez, Yuma Catholic Sophomore. Linebacker Desmond Esquivel, Yuma Catholic Junior. Linebacker Isaac Rios, Cibola Sophomore. Linebacker Pono Renault, Gila Ridge Senior. Defensive back Austin Rush, Yuma Catholic Junior. Defensive back Jacob Aceto, Gila Ridge Senior. Defensive back Mario Martinez, Yuma Catholic Junior. Defensive back Alex Mosqueda, Yuma High Senior. And the punter CJ Wiggins, Gila Ridge Senior.
It's kind of unusual picking the football region teams. The Yuma Union High School District teams just playing local schedule. Most teams just playing 4. Gila Ridge, they get to play 5, and the entire last regular season week was wiped out among local teams.
So like we said, it was a very, very strange year. That's all I can say.
And now it'll lead us into the volleyball all-region team. Again, just like the football, all YUHSD teams just played a local schedule. They did not travel. And the volleyball all-region team is made up by the player of the year, outside hitter Rory Martinez out of Yuma Catholic Senior. She is now the back-to-back volleyball player of the year and helped lead YC to their 9th playoff appearance all time in that volleyball program. And she tallied 212 kills as a senior, so a very impressive season by Rory. And the rest of the team is rounded up by setter Emma Gwynn, Yuma Catholic Senior, outside hitter Heidi White, Cibola Senior, libero Kayla Porches, Kofa Senior, setter and outside hitter Tinley Smidgel, Gila Ridge Senior, outside hitter Delaney Ott, Cibola Junior, and middle hitter Ryan Martinez, Yuma Catholic Sophomore.
That leads us into the all-region cross-country team. For the boys, the cross-country runner of the year was Bennett Meyer-Wills, a junior from Cibola. Bennett finished 11th in the Division I cross-country meet, won the Yuma Union High School District title again, and his best finish in state which was the best finish at state since 2017 for Cibola. Also on the team, Matthew Lopez, a junior from Kofa, Arath Castro, Kofa Senior, Thomas Gettings, Cibola Senior, Eduardo Marquez, Gila Ridge Sophomore, and Justin Vandenberg, another Gila Ridge Sophomore.
And for the girls cross-country team, Elenia, the girls runner of the year is Elenia Tracy, Cibola freshman. She kind of emerged onto the season pretty late for the Raiders. She finished 4th in the Yuma Union High School District meet held at Kofa before she had the fastest sectional times and state times among local runners at the Division I cross-country state meet. She finished 64th overall and was one of the fastest freshmen. I can guarantee it's probably not going to be the last time we see her mentioned in this all-region team.
Absolutely.
And rounding out the rest of the runners for the girls cross-country all-region team is Jasmine Estrada, Gila Ridge Junior, Gracelyn Navy, Gila Ridge Junior, Madeline Macaluso, Gila Ridge Junior, Maria Mendoza, Cibola Junior, Janelle Sanchez, Cibola Junior, and Taylor Kitty, Gila Ridge Junior. And then that brings us into the swimming all-region teams. The last fall, I guess we got golf as well we're going to mention, but the final main all-region team for fall is swimming, and that is brought to you by Lines and Lundgren Roofing. And we'll start off with the boys swimming team.
The boys swimming team, the swimmer of the year, a senior from Cibola, Aiden Dusek. Aiden was the first Yuma Union High School District's individual state swimming champion since 1971 and the first in Cibola school history after winning the Division I 100-meter backstroke. He is also the back-to-back winner of the Swimmer of the Year, won 2 individual events at the district tournament, and helped the Raiders win 2 relays. Also on the team, Stephen Hargadine from Cibola, a senior, Eric Palacios, a Gila Ridge sophomore, Joseph Lyons, Gila Ridge senior, Gabe McAllen, Cibola junior, Kian Evans, Gila Ridge freshman, Nathan Kempton, a Gila Ridge senior, Brendan Van Winkle, a Cibola senior, and John Pasquinelli, a Cibola senior.
And that brings us to the girls swimming all-region team. And leading the charge for the girls is this year's the Girls Swimmer of the Year, Emma Amon, Cibola Junior. This is her back-to-back girls swimming title of the year, so very impressive for the Cibola swim program. And she helped in all 3 years as a Raider. She's helped the Raiders win the YHSD swim meet. She also placed 4th in the 100-yard breaststroke in the state meet and 9th in the 200-yard IM. And she's the first Raider to finish top 10 in 2 different events at the Division I state meet. And her 4th place finish was the best placement for a Raider since 1990. Rounding out the rest of the girls swimming all-region team is Peyton Doak, Cibola sophomore, Isabel Ferrero, Gila Ridge freshman, Alexis Griffin, Gila Ridge senior, Amina Barker, Cibola sophomore, Mia Duarte, Cibola freshman, Felicity McAllen, Cibola freshman, Amelia Valenzuela, Cibola senior, and rounding out is Sydney Quinn, Cibola senior. And that will bring us into our last kind of mixture of fall and spring sports. We've added golf into the fall region category this year.
Alrighty. The golf program, in case any of you are not familiar, is the 5 YUHSD teams all play in the fall, whereas the smaller schools, which includes Yuma Catholic, they play in the spring. So we wait until the spring to award the all-region team. And the boys team is led off by Luke Stallworth, a Yuma Catholic sophomore. Luke scored in the 30s 2 times this season in 9-hole matches. He seemed to find his game late, placing 33rd in the Division III state golf tournament after shooting a 77 on the final day. Other members of the team are John McMahon, a Gila Ridge sophomore, Davin Grant, a Gila Ridge senior, Braden Hunt, Yuma Catholic junior, and Brennan Reese, a Yuma Catholic sophomore.
And the girls golf of the year for the 2nd straight season is Kylie Gerber, Gila Ridge senior. She won the YHSD title for the 4th consecutive season, so she's kind of laminated herself as a top district player in all her years as a Hawk. She also finished 29th in Division II state tournament at the Omni Tucson National Golf Course. And rounding out the rest of the girls golf team is Jamie Baker, Gila Ridge Junior, Emma Christensen, Gila Ridge Junior, Regina Laird, Gila Ridge sophomore, and Ashlyn Rodriguez, San Luis senior. And that will conclude our fall all-region teams and players of the years. And we'll begin with the winter season, which was kind of odd. The AIA initially canceled the entire winter season before, I think 3 days later, I think they canceled on a Friday and then reversed the decision on a Monday after tons of backlash, rightfully so.
On again, off again, on again, off again, yeah.
So we thank you for whoever petitioned your way and went outside their offices and allowed you to play this year and allowed us to cover that. We'll start with the boys basketball region team, which is brought to you by McCarthy Construction.
And the player of the year for the boys team, point guard CJ Wiggins, a Gila Ridge senior. CJ helped the Hawks earn a berth into the 5A state playoffs. He had a season-high 30 points in a win versus Cibola, scored 26 points in a loss to number 1 Centennial in the playoffs. Remainder of the team includes Jamison K., guard, Gila Ridge Senior; Jordan Stevens, guard forward, Gila Ridge Junior; Will Hunt, guard, Yuma Catholic Senior; and Alfredo Carbajal, guard, Kofa Junior.
And for the girls basketball, the player of the year is Kylie Murtrum, Yuma Catholic Senior. She was a point guard and arguably probably had the most important shot this year. She hit a game-tying 3 with just seconds remaining in the opening round against Gilbert Christian, as she hit a 3 with about 3 seconds left that they eventually would win in regulation. She also had 2 games with 20 or more points and averaged 16 points this year for the Shamrocks, and was a catalyst for that offense to advance to the quarterfinals of the 3A playoffs. The remainder of the all-region girls basketball team is Sierra Baumhauer, guard, Cibola freshman; Mina Johnson, Cibola guard, junior; Rory Martinez, Yuma Catholic forward, senior; and Kamara Hawkins, Yuma High forward, junior. And that will conclude the basketball region teams as we get into the boys and girls wrestling.
The boys wrestling team for technically 2020, we'll call it 2021,
Yeah.
depending how the AIA wants to look at it. Anyway, wrestler of the year, again, Jaden Dobson, Yuma Catholic Senior. During the season, Jaden posted another undefeated season and became the first Shamrock to win an individual state title since 2015. He's also as I said, the back-to-back wrestler of the year, and he's also a 3-time repeat state champion in wrestling. The rest of the team includes 106 pounds, Damian Moreno, Kofa, sophomore; 106 pounds, Mikey Dorr, Yuma Catholic Junior; 113 pounds, Sabian Russell, Yuma High sophomore; 120 pounds, Mario Burgain, Yuma High Senior; 126 pounds, Jacob Navarro, Yuma Catholic Senior; 132 pounds, Nathan Kempton, Gila Ridge Senior; 138 pounds, Aiden Navarro, Gila Ridge Junior; 145 pounds, Johnny Sierra, Cibola Senior; 152 pounds, Armando Valencia, Gila Ridge Senior; 180 pounds, Jordan Mellor, Cibola Senior; 170 pounds, Trenton Bloomquist, Yuma Catholic Freshman; 182 pounds, Lorenzo Duran, Yuma Catholic Sophomore; 195 pounds, Jacob Bernal, Yuma Catholic Senior; and the heavyweight, Liam Hoffmeyer, Cibola Senior.
That brings us to our girls all wrestling team. After the successful boys, we saw 3 state individual winners in that group, rounded out by Johnny Sierra and Liam Hoffmeyer outside of Jaden Dobson. And now for the girls.
And Liam Hoffmeyer was a 2-time state champion.
So was Johnny Sierra. So we had several repeats this year. So a successful winter season for those athletes. And the girls' wrestler of the year is, for the 2nd straight season, is Carolina Marino, Kofa Senior. Again, she was just remarkable all throughout the regular season and was at one point 71-0 in her career until her final match, and was just 1 win away from a three-peat champion. So a very successful season for her. She kind of dominated the early beginning stages of the girls wrestling tenure in the state of Arizona.
Yep.
The rest of the team is rounded out by Kylie Gerber, Gila Ridge Senior; Jennifer Peralta, San Luis Senior, who also had the highest state finish for the San Luis program so far, with a 4th place finish individually. Jamie Baker, Gila Ridge Junior, and rounding out the girls all-region wrestling team is Peyton Kessler, Gila Ridge Junior. And that transitioned us into the boys and girls soccer team, which is sponsored by YCAT.
We're leading off with the boys all-region soccer team, headed up by the player of the year, goalkeeper Martin Sanchez from San Luis, a senior. He had the most clean sheets in San Luis history, made a game-clinching save in penalty kicks versus Desert Vista in the 6A quarterfinals. And I have to tell you, from being there shooting the championship game, this cat played an awesome game. He did not deserve to be the guy that the game came down to. Just want to say that. Great job, Martin. Also on the team, Sebastian Quintero, striker, Yuma Catholic senior. Jose Bustamante, defender, Yuma Catholic sophomore. Tiernan Nicewander, forward, Kofa, sophomore. Giovanni Ariola, defender, Cibola, senior. Emmanuel Apodaca, what's CB?
Center back.
Oh, center back, sorry. Center back, San Luis senior. Angel Martinez, midfielder, San Luis senior. Roberto Uribe, forward, San Luis junior. Andres Valenzuela, defender, Gila Ridge senior. And Jesus Canez, midfielder, Cibola junior.
A lot of successful programs for the boys soccer team.
I'll tell you.
Several playoff teams, and like you said, San Luis getting to the 6A state title game for the third time in school history. That leads us to the girls all-region soccer team. That the player of the year is Gila Ridge forward Danica Haxton, Jr. She led the 5A Northwest Division with 15 goals in just 12 games played. She was just spectacular in that regard, and third among all girls in 5A in goal scoring. So congratulations to a successful season for Danica. The rest of the team is rounded out by Sydney West, forward, Cibola Senior. Chloe Martinez, goalkeeper, Gila Ridge Jr. Lisbeth Rubio, midfielder, Cibola Senior. Jada Barnett, midfielder, Cibola Jr. Kate Sumner, defender, Gila Ridge Senior. Courtney Celaya, midfielder, Gila Ridge Senior. Hannah Hurtado, Kofa, forward, Jr. And Victoria Diaz, midfielder for Yuma Catholic, and she was a junior. And Amanda Cochise, Kofa Senior, defender. And that concludes our winter all-region teams and player of the years. And that brings us back to our spring sports all-region teams and players of the year. A lot of excitement, several playoff teams, several postseason runs along these local schools, and that brings us to our softball all-region team.
Okay, softball, leading off, our player of the year, a Gila Ridge sophomore, shortstop, Kenzie Nakasawa. Rest of the team includes Tinley Schmidgall, Gila Ridge senior pitcher. Elaine Ornelas, Cibola senior pitcher. Cassidy Stanton, Gila Ridge catcher. Delaney Ott, sorry about that, Cibola junior first baseman. Alyssa Moreno, Cibola junior second baseman. Madison Matthews, Cibola senior shortstop. Stephanie Tapia, Cibola senior third baseman. Addison Duke, Gila Ridge freshman center fielder. Ailey Perez, Cibola sophomore right fielder. Malila Padilla, Cibola sophomore left fielder. Misha, is it Misha?
Yeah,
Misha Matthews, I'm sorry about that. Cibola sophomore utility player. And Tamia Butler, Gila Ridge senior utility player.
A pretty good year for Gila Ridge's Kenzie Nakasawa. Batted .561 this year and got the team to the 16th seed in the 5A state playoffs.
She's a solid player.
And just her first full year of varsity level, so excited to see what she can do the next 2 years. And that brings us into our baseball all-region team and player of the year. The player of the year for baseball is Isaac Areza, Yuma Catholic junior pitcher. He went 6-1 this year with a sub 1.4 ERA. And also batted over .450 at the plate. So a really solid two-way player for the Shamrocks, who unfortunately had their season ended in the 3A state quarterfinals. But spectacular season by him, and he's also got another year for the Shamrocks.
Oh, yeah.
And the rest of the team rounds out with Austin Priest, Yuma Catholic junior pitcher. Alex Guerrera, Gila Ridge senior pitcher. Damian Cabrera, Yuma High freshman catcher. Damian Garcia, San Luis senior first baseman. Andrew Yee, Cibola freshman infielder. Xavier Carrillo, Antelope senior infielder. Alan Rosas, Yuma Catholic senior infielder. Jack Scanlon, Gila Ridge sophomore outfielder. Jonah Leon, Yuma Catholic senior outfielder, who's actually top 3 in the state in stolen bases this year. So a good season for Jonah. Pablo Garcia, San Luis senior outfielder. Blake Avila, Gila Ridge senior utility player. And Justin Bouts, Yuma High sophomore utility player.
It's a good team.
It's a very solid team. A lot of young guys too, several freshmen, so excited for the competition level in the Yuma district and just locally at Yuma Catholic as well. And that brings us into our girls tennis all-region team. And
leading off, Player of the Year, Lily Moreland, sophomore from Gila Ridge, joined by Faith Kist, Gila Ridge senior, Emma Christensen, Gila Ridge junior, Ruby Barragan, Gila Ridge senior, Abigail Angulano, Kofa senior, and Amanda Coaches, Kofa senior.
And Moreland was one of the few individuals that was selected to go to the AIA State Singles Tournament Championship. She ended up finishing in the second round there. So a solid season for Lily. And that brings us to our boys tennis all-region. And our boys tennis player of the year is Leonardo Cadillo, Kofa senior. Very impressive year for Leo. He went undefeated throughout the entire season and qualified for the singles and doubles AIA Division I state tournament, but ended up playing in the doubles meet with his teammate Diego, and they finished in the second round of that tournament. The rest of the team is rounded out by Diego Flores, Kofa senior, Joel Alvarado, Cibola senior, Matthew Davis, Cibola senior, Diego Servin, Cibola junior, and Brody Clarkson, Cibola sophomore. Which that now brings us to our final athletic events, sporting teams, and that will be starting off with the girls track and field.
Okay, leading off is our Athlete of the Year in track for the female team, Janelle Sanchez, a junior from Cibola. Remainder of the team includes Aiden Jensen, a junior from Kofa, Ariana Luera, a senior from Cibola, Rory Martinez, a senior from Yuma Catholic, Reese Sellers, sophomore from Yuma Catholic, Ida Nielsen, a senior from Gila Ridge, Kate Sumner, a senior from Gila Ridge, Molly Sims, a senior from Gila Ridge, Sierra Baumhauer, a freshman from Cibola, Kiara Hinton, a sophomore from Cibola, Kieran Payton, a freshman from Kofa, Jasmine Estrada, a junior from Gila Ridge, and Taylor Keedy, a junior from Gila Ridge.
And Janelle actually finished 5th in the Division I 300-meter hurdles race and won 3 different events at the district meet. So very successful season for Janelle. I bet you a lot of coaches and parents are excited. A lot of freshmen and sophomores have made each of these lists so far.
Yep.
And that brings us to our boys track and field player of the year and all-region team. And our male track and field athlete of the year is Bennett Meyer Wills, Cibola Jr. This guy is just absolutely unbelievable. He also won the cross-country male runner of the year in the fall. He can do it all when he's out there participating in the sport he loves. And he finished as a state runner-up in the 3,200-meter race at the Division I state level this past week. So very, very good season for him. And he also finished 9th in this Division I state meet in the 1,600-meter race. So a lot of promise for him next year as a senior. And the rest of the boys track and field all-region team is rounded out by Diego Cota, Kofa senior, Brian Stiles, Kofa senior, Austin Rush, Yuma Catholic junior, CJ Wiggins, Gila Ridge senior, Pono Renault, Gila Ridge senior, Jacob Aceto, Gila Ridge senior, Evan Smith Pelego, Gila Ridge junior, Jaheim Wilson Jones, Gila Ridge senior, Marco Angulo, Cibola senior, sorry about that, John Beltran, Cibola senior, Elvin Ramirez Herrera, Cibola senior, Dean Hill, Cibola sophomore, and Brendan Van Winkle, Cibola senior. And that concludes our 3-season sports athletics, all-region teams and player of the years. Great year, and like I said, a lot of young kids that were mentioned on this list, and lots of promising futures here locally in athletics.
I'm just glad we actually had 3 full seasons.
I am too.
That was amazing. And that's kudos to all these athletes and coaches that stuck it out and made it happen.
Hello, I'm Adele Sandberg, President and CEO of AEA Federal Credit Union. I would like to congratulate you on your accomplishments throughout your education. Your senior year of high school has been unlike any other because 2021 has been unlike any other. There are great things ahead for all of you. Please know that the AEA team is your fan club, rooting for you and cheering you on. I am proud to recognize this year's Academic Award nominees and winner for the commitment to sports and academics. This year's winner was described as a leader, ideal athlete, and a positive influence. From Antelope Union High School, please join me in congratulating Elena Nieto.
And now that brings us to our female, male, and coach of the year finalists and winners. This is the part we've been waiting for since I'm sure you turned on your computer or TVs to watch this tonight. And we're going to start with the female athlete of the year finalist. Sierra Baumhauer is a Cibola freshman. She played basketball and track and field this year. Just as a freshman, she was exceptional in the hardwood, averaged 14 points a game, helped Cibola get to the 6A postseason. And then on the track as well, she won 3 different events as a freshman in the district meet on the track. She also scored double figures in 13 games as a freshman for the Raiders. So a lot of promising futures. I don't think it's going to be the last time we hear her name mentioned in some of these awards.
She's only a freshman.
Yeah, so promising future for her. We also have Tinley Smidgel, Gila Ridge senior. She played volleyball and was the ace pitcher for the Hawks this year, helped lead Gila Ridge to the 5A postseason in softball, and almost knocked off #1 Willow Canyon this year. So she had a very successful season. She was a part of the Hawks' volleyball team that compiled a 10-2 record this year in a shortened season, district-only schedule, but nonetheless still very successful. And that brings us to our final finalist, Rory Martinez, Yuma Catholic senior. She pretty much does it all. She played basketball, volleyball, and track and field. She was on the all-region team for basketball and track this past spring, while also winning the Player of the Year honors in volleyball. She helped the Shamrocks get to the 3A postseason in basketball and volleyball earlier in the year, so very successful season for Rory. And now, to announce our winner, our female athlete of the year is Yuma Catholic senior Rory Martinez. Congratulations, Rory.
Congratulations, Rory. Gonna miss you next year.
And that brings us to our male athlete of the year. 3 very successful finalists. I mean, this was a pretty tough one. A lot of sensational athletes this year regarding the male athletes. And that will bring us first with CJ Wiggins, Gila Ridge senior. He helped the Hawks in a shortened season go 5-0 in football. He was actually the only quarterback in the state of Arizona that tossed 15 or more touchdowns and not turned the ball over once. I think he finished with 19 total touchdowns as well. He was on the all-region team for football in 2 categories, actually, punter and quarterback. And then in the winter, he was our boys basketball player of the year, averaged 16.5 points a game. So he was sensational on the hardwood, helped the Hawks get to the 5A state playoffs in that sport. Well, he also ran track and field for the Hawks and participated very well at a lot of meets, and even won a district meet, the district championship meet in an event. So very successful year for CJ. And also Bennett Meyer Wills, we just discussed him and his contributions on the track for the Raiders. And like I said, he was sensational for the Raiders in the fall in the cross country. So he was our boys runner of the year in track and cross country. Like I said, he was state runner-up in the 3,200 meter race this spring, while also finishing 11th in the cross country meet in the fall. So a lot of excitement for him as he returns for a senior season next year. And our final male athlete of the year finalist is Austin Rush, Yuma Catholic junior. He played football and track and field for the Shamrocks. On track and field, he was their best triple jump and high jump player. He was consistently in the top 5 in a lot of the events. He was on the all-region team for the male track and field team, and while on the football field, he actually led the entire state of Arizona with 16 touchdown receptions. Might not be the biggest or fastest guy on the football field, but he sure has hands like glue and knows how to find his way into the end zone, and he helped propel the Shamrocks to a 3A state championship berth. And with that being said, our male athlete of the year is Gila Ridge senior CJ Wiggins. Congratulations, CJ, and we wish the best of luck for you next year at West LA Community College. Now that brings us to our final award of the night, is our Coach of the Year. And we have 3 exceptional finalists in this category as well. We'll start off with San Luis boys soccer coach Jesus Rojas. Rojas led the Sidewinders to a 6A state championship berth. A great year for the San Luis boys soccer program. Pretty much unanimous #1 amongst the rankings around the state in soccer this year. Got the #1 overall seed in the state tournament. Had several nail biters to get to that point. A lot of late wins, close finishes, and eventually, unfortunately, they couldn't get it done in the end of the state championship game. But nonetheless, a great season by Jesus Rojas.
And as another opposing coach said, they'll be back next year.
Which, despite losing 9 seniors, they have a lot of talent returning. So it should be another exciting year for the Sidewinders boys soccer program. That also brings us to Marvin Avila, Cibola boys wrestling coach. The Raiders, once again for the 10th straight year, were in the top 6, finishing inside the top 6 in the team standings at the Division I state meet. And for the 6th time in the last 10 years, he had multiple individual state champions, and that was, he helped coach Liam Hoffmeyer as a heavyweight, as a back-to-back state winner, and in the 145-pound weight class, Johnny Sierra was a back-to-back state title winner. So, again, pretty much just dominates every single year, and it was kind of the same storyline for Avila and the Raiders this season on the mat. And our final finalist is Yuma Catholic head football coach Rhett Stallworth. In his 12th total year and his 2nd stint as the Shamrocks head coach, Stallworth led Yuma Catholic to their 6th state championship appearance in his 12 years. So a very successful season as the offensive play caller for the Shamrocks. Yuma Catholic had arguably one of the most potent offenses in the state with all the scoring, over 40 points a game, top passing offense in the state. So again, kind of the same storyline for Rhett. Just a big-time explosive offense for the Shamrocks this year, and we expect them to be back next year as well. And that leads us to our Coach of the Year winner, and that is Yuma Catholic head coach Rhett Stallworth. Congratulations, Rhett.
Congratulations, Rhett.
And that concludes our 2021 Virtual Sports Award show. For the 2nd year, unfortunately, we were here behind a camera, not in front of an audience at a banquet. And we hope to be back next year. We hope to see fans in the stadium again. We should be at that point in the fall. We should be hitting rock and rolling soon with teams progressing through the off-season.
One more thing I would like to point out is that our sportsman here, Jackson Raymer, did this thing all by himself this past year. Kudos to Jackson. He did a hell of a job, buddy.
I appreciate it. And that concludes our night, and we'd like to thank our sponsors, the Yuma Sun, the Yuma Rotary Club, and AEA Federal Credit Union. Thank you, everyone, for watching.